Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Finally, it is happening. Finally, the vlog that I've been teasing through the entire summer, it is finally happening. The romantasy vlog is here. You guys know that I'm a big romantasy reader, and as far as romance goes, I always read romantasy or historical romance. Usually I don't really care for any contemporary romance or the subgenres of contemporary romance, but romantasy and historical romance, I am always here for it. And I discovered romantasy and became obsessed with romantasy in 2023. I read 50, 60 romantasy books in 2023. It was crazy. It completely took over my life. And then somehow I lost this passion in 2024. And it's not because I burnt out of that genre. That's not true. I still tried. And I've been planning to film specifically a romantasy reading vlog for such a long time. And I started filming one last year, towards the end of last year, and also early in the beginning of this year, but I gave up because I DNF'd every single romantasy book that I read in those videos. I wanted to show you this little card, because usually I get these cards and I plan out my videos on this card. It says romantasy vlog, and you can see the different books that I was planning to read in those vlogs. And I don't know if you can see the marker, that it's kind of blue now. It was actually pink. Yes, I used the pink marker, but because of fading, it actually became, I don't even know, is it blue? What color is this? It kind of looks like blue. Oh my god, is it? When pink fades, then it's blue? What? PhD. Whatever. And I just wanted to mention a couple of books that I decided to read in this vlog, but again, at the end of all of these books, I just never got around it. So it was a disaster. Fortuna Sworn, I really didn't like it. And Emperor in the Ashes, I really didn't like it. The Witch Hunter, that's a no to me, thank you. Long Live Evil, I just couldn't get into that book. It was so complicated. Radiance, I also DNF'd that one. Now I do have Bryony and Roses on this list, and I actually read that one. And that was a fantastic book, but it's a very short romantasy. I cannot film a video all around DNF'd romantasies. And then I decided to persevere, to try it again. And in this video, we will be finishing 5 romantasy books. First, we will read Blood and Steel by Helen Schurer. Then we will read the one and only Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. I always want to say Ellie Hart, which just doesn't make any sense. Then we will also read Entreat Me by Grace Draven, one of the best freaking romantasy covers I've ever seen in my life. We will also read Viciously Yours by Jamie Applegate Hunter. And last but not least, we will also finish this newest release, House of the Beast by Michelle Wong. And now, without any further ado or any delay, let's just kick off this vlog with Blood and Steel by Helen Schurer. Guys! This reading vlog starts out great, because I finished Blood and Steel, and I freaking adore this book. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this book is great, that this book is perfect, that this book is flawless, because it's not true. But compared to all the other disasters that I read in 2024, this book is just freaking perfect. I enjoyed everything about this book, and I cannot wait to keep reading the series. Not in this reading vlog series, because that's not what we're here for, but I cannot wait to pick up all the other books in the series. And now, finally, that I finished this book, I can tell you everything about it and what it's about. So our main female character is Althea, or Thea, and she's 24 years old. And she knows, based on a prophecy, well, it's not really a prophecy, but somebody foretold her future, and she knows that she only has 3 more years to live, and she wants to become the warrior of Tezmar. And again, she only has 3 more years to do so. But the problem is that in this world, women cannot touch blades, they cannot wield blades, they cannot become warriors because of an older prophecy. Because basically, like women, or like this one particular woman that the prophecy is talking about, she's gonna bring like the end to Tezmar or whatever. And because of that, like she still has to be a useful part of the guild, and she is studying to become an alchemist with her sister, who is becoming a fantastic alchemist. But that's not what Tia wants, so she trains in secret, and she's not supposed to do that, and because of that she gets into trouble, and she has to plead her case with the king, who for some reason allows her to become a trainee, not necessarily a warrior, but to become a trainee. And her warrior chaperone, if you will, is Wilder Hawthorne. That's like a very difficult name for me to pronounce. And then our story begins, like, you know, bum 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 bum, whatever. Wow, I'm such a great book reviewer. Boom boom pum pum. That's exactly, you know what? That's exactly what I'm gonna put on Goodreads as my review for this book. I really enjoyed the story in this book. The author has a fantastic writing style. Everything is just so easy. It reads easy, the story flows easy, and very easy to get into this entire book. I really liked the characters. I loved Thea's character, I loved Wilder's character, and I loved all the secondary characters. And found family is a very big thing in this book, and you know that that's just something that I love. So when I saw, like, you know, that little like found family beginning to form, I was like, I know exactly where we're going with this, and I am loving this. And just like I said, I really enjoy the world in this book, and I feel so funny to say that because we didn't get a lot of world building. But again, I think that there are like 3 more books, and that's why I want to like start reading the second one, because I can only assume that we will know more about the world and the enemy and everything that we're fighting and the prophecy, and I am really looking forward to that. But this book is not perfect in my eyes is the romance aspect of it. And I know, like, this is a romantasy, so I should love the romance, right? But the problem is that with the romance specifically, that when it comes to Thea, for example, and when we hear about Wilder from Thea's point of view, it's always just like, oh, he's so handsome and he's so muscly and like his pecs or whatever. But she always tells us, the readers, that she doesn't really know anything about him because he doesn't talk about himself, which is like, that's exactly how it is. And then when it comes to Wilder's point of view, because we do have a couple of chapters from his point of view, I don't really see him like developing any kind of feelings for Thea. If I felt anything, that was more like obsession. So when they, like, you know, declare their feelings or whatever, I didn't feel it with them, because why do you guys are into each other? Why do you guys like love each other and would do anything for each other when it's like you don't even know each other? You know what I mean? So that's just something that I really missed in the book. And also when it comes to the conflict, I'm like, I personally don't fully get it, but whatever. It doesn't change the fact that I really want to continue this series, and I will continue this series. And when I tell you guys that I love the secondary characters, like Kip, Christopher, oh my god, he is my favorite. And honestly, I hope that we will get his story as well, you know, in the upcoming books. I will not continue this series in this reading vlog. I really want to, but that's not what we're doing. We're picking up next Quicksilver by Kelly Hart, who is supposed to be New York Times best-selling author. And now look, I decided to pick up Quicksilver because many people on the internet says that, you know what, this is a very good book. I believe them. I have to believe them. And also, can we just like look at that cover? I mean, but this book is insanely long, and well, I already have it, so you know, I'm just gonna read it. I'm gonna give it a try. But last night I was reading about the author, and it turns out that the author is like a dark romance writer, and I believe that this is her first fantasy romance, and I'm hoping that this doesn't mean that this is like a dark fantasy romance, because like that's just not going to work for me personally. But we'll see. Just like I said, many people I follow here on booktube and just like in general on the internet, they have really good opinion about this book, so we'll see. I hope that I will like it. When I am done with this book, I'm definitely gonna pop back in and I report my thoughts to you guys. So see you in a couple of seconds. I am on chapter 42 in Quicksilver, and I was told that the last couple of chapters of this book are absolute bonkers, so I decided that I'm actually gonna read them on camera. I will, of course, speed it up for you guys, but I really want to know what this hype is about, especially when it comes to the ending of this book. So let's just read it together. Second book is coming in the fall 2025. Well, 609 pages. I have to be honest with you guys, it felt like a 600 pages long book, and I am happy that it's over. Was the ending absolute bonkers? No. I enjoyed like the story in general in the book, and also like how it ended. I personally think that it was wrapped up really nice, but is it like bonkers? No. Do I feel like I cannot wait for the next book? No. But anyways, I'm gonna go to bed now, and then I will give you my final thoughts and my final review probably in the next clip, guys. So, see you in a couple of seconds. Well, I turned on the Fey lights, guys. Fey lights? Fairy lights. Fey lights. I don't think anybody ever called them Fey lights. Fairy lights, because we are about to discuss this gigantic Fey book. Wow. You guys, I finished this book like 3 weeks ago, probably. But I forgot to sit down and review the book, and I kind of feel that says everything. Okay, all right, now take it seriously. Take it seriously, Zsuzsi. Now, objectively speaking, I don't think that this was a bad book. There were a lot of things that I didn't like about it, don't get me wrong, but also there were a couple of things that I really liked about it, and I want to be very objective in this review. At least I will try to be very objective in this review. You know, when I said in the beginning of the video that I am now scared for the genre because of all the poor writing and all the poor editing and just in general the little to no effort that actually goes into the romantasy books these days? I think that unknowingly unbeknownst to me, but this was the book that I was talking about, because there was a lot of poor writing and editing in this book, and I will give you some of the examples that I pulled out of the books later. But let's just first discuss the plot of the book and also the things that I liked about this book, because I feel like that I'm starting this review very harsh, and I genuinely don't think that this was like a very, very bad book or the worst romantasy book that I've read in my life. So again, the premise first, and then all the good things about this book before we hit everything that I didn't like. We start out in the human realm in this book, and our main female character, she lives in kind of like a desert-like world, and one of the most precious thing to have there is water, and they definitely don't have enough, and they definitely don't have clean water. And our main female character, she is part of the resistance, and she steals something from a guard, a queen's guard, because it's a queen who's ruling the human realm. And then because she's part of the resistance, she has some kind of military training. She's really good with fighting, as all romantasy main female characters are anyways. And she steals something from the guard, and then they catch her, and then they take her to the palace of the queen. And then she is about to be deleted, basically, when something happens. She melts something called the quicksilver, and this is a very unique ability. And then our main male character, who is called Kingfisher, I always want to call him T. Kingfisher, but no. Kingfisher, fishy, he just pops out of the metal. Wow, I'm doing such a great job describing this book, but I don't know how to say this differently, because that's what happens. He just like pops out of the metal. And then he takes our main character, whose name is Ceres, I forgot to tell you her name. He takes her using the quicksilver through a gate system to the Fae realm. And in this Fae realm, she basically has to become an alchemist, because it is, just like I said, a very unique ability to be able to melt the quicksilver, because they use this quicksilver as kind of like the transferring material with the gates, or through this gate system between the different realms. And as an alchemist, she needs to help him out before they set her free, basically. That is the premise of the book. I feel like I did a very bad job describing the plot in this book, but that is just like the gist of the book, okay? And the biggest thing that I liked in this book was actually the world and the setting, because in this book, the Fae realm is winter, and that's one of my favorite settings, even when it comes to like other books, like for example, Alcotar. I'm mentioning it because that's the book that everybody knows. I really like the winter setting, and I really want to go to the winter court, and I want to spend some time in the winter court. And in this book, we're like all in winter, and that's like, I love it. And also the world and the alchemy part of it, and the quicksilver, and how to use quicksilver to be able to, like, you know, open these gates and travel between realms. That was also like very interesting to me. I liked all the different characters that we get in this book. You guys know that usually when like the romantasy books are all about just the main female and male characters, especially when a book is this long, like that becomes boring to me very easily. And that is why I really like to read about like the zillion of side characters, and we have a lot of side characters in this book, and we also have a lot of different creatures in this book, like for example sprites, and also I really like the sprites in different romantasy books. So that was also something that I enjoyed very much. On top of this, I also really like that the romance was starting a little bit later in the book, because I feel like that whatever kind of romance book it is it romantasy, is it contemporary romance, is it historical romance, I feel like that sometimes we just jump into the romance way too quickly, and we don't get enough, like for example, world building or explanations about, you know, what's happening or what's the point of the entire book. And I feel like that because the romance started out a little bit later in the book, of course, like it's a romantasy, so you know exactly from the first page that these two are probably going to end up together. I did appreciate that we had a little bit of, like, you know, foreplay, because before we got into the entire romance. I also really like the grumpiness of the main male character, because I remember like that week when I was reading this book, I was like so hormonal and so grumpy. And I was like, yeah, dude, I got you, dude. You tell her, dude. I was like, yeah. I was like clapping. I don't know what it says about me, but I like grumpy, rude people. Now the things that I didn't really like when it comes to this book, and I want to look in my notes, because specifically, like again, I mentioned that the writing and the editing, I feel like it was incredibly poor in this book. And I just want to mention a couple of things, and I feel like that some of these things are like very little things, but you know, like once you see them, once you pick them up, and then you just cannot let this go. I feel like I had a lot of those moments in this book, and specifically when I talk about the writing, like again, just a couple of examples. In this book, there's a character, a male character, whose hair is described as copper and golden. I was like, is it copper, is it golden, or is it like copper color but shines like gold? Whatever, it was just like described as copper and golden, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. Or there was a fighting scene in this book, and then the main female character described Kingfisher as, no, Kingfisher, not Kingfisher, Kingfisher, and said Kingfisher became death. And I'm like, what does that mean? Or when the main female character said, I needed him to explain what the last 120 seconds meant. I'm like, you mean like the last 2 minutes? Like the last 120 seconds meant. I'm like, wow, that's like oddly specific. I love when she said that his eyes flickered to me. And maybe this is just me not understanding something, because I feel like that I've read this before, like his eyes flickered, but is it flickered? Because flickering, it means this. And if your eyes flicker, I feel like that's some kind of medical condition. I don't know, like you need to check it out. I think the author meant like flicked. That, because that makes more sense, like when your eyes like flick. Does it make sense what I'm saying? It was just so annoying, and I think that the author actually used the word flickered more than once in the book. Oh, and I also love this one, making my mouth sweat. Like, I'm a very visual person, so when you say something like that to me, making my mouth sweat, I guess the author means like my mouth watering, which makes sense. But when you say that your mouth is sweat, I just like imagine the area around your mouth like being sweaty, right? Like your little mustache being sweaty, and that's like disgusting. So I actually think the author meant like making my mouth water or something like that. Oh, and another favorite line from this book, when somebody's talking to Ceres, and then Kingfisher says, Kingfisher says, you should call her Majesty. That was, oh my god, that cracked me up. With all honesty, actually, I had a lot of fun with this book. I found myself laughing out loud a lot, but not because of the plot, not because of the characters, and not because the author intentionally wanted to make me laugh, okay? What else? Oh yeah, the smut. The smut in this book was so stupid, you guys, and I don't have an issue with smut. I read smutty books in all kinds of settings: historical romance, contemporary romance, romantasy, like sci-fi romance, whatever. I read it, it's fine. I'm not against smut, I'm not against spicy scenes, but in this book, I really did not like it. And when I read the spicy scenes, that's when I realized that, or that's when it like came through the most, that the author is a dark romance author. I didn't like the description of the smut here. It was too much for me, and I read the very first smut scene and it made me feel so uncomfortable that after that I decided to skip all the other smut scenes. So it is just something that didn't work for me. And again, considering that I actually read a lot of like spicy books, not like a lot of spicy books, but when I read romance books and there are spice in there. I'm like, I'm okay. I don't get secondhand embarrassment. Those kind of things don't happen to me. This book, the smut scenes in this book, they made me feel, well, not so good. When was the last time? Because I know I read another book where the smut was like, oh, really not good and made me feel really, really uncomfortable. Oh yeah, it was in one of the books from the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Was it the third or the fourth book when the smut scenes were just a little bit too much for me? So that just didn't work for me. I can see, with all honesty, why everybody likes this book. Okay, not everybody likes this book, but I can see why this book is popular, because it is a typical cookie cutter romantasy. It's full of characters and romantasy themes and tropes that are super popular out there when it comes to the romantasy genre in general. And yeah, it's not like, it wasn't the best romantasy reading experience of my life. Am I like super excited to pick up the second book? Am I losing sleep until the second book comes out? No. I did not see like the huge plot twist in the end that everybody was talking about. I was just like, yeah, okay, fine. I'm like, the second book comes out when it comes out. I will read it. But again, I am not losing sleep waiting for the second book to come out. But with all honesty, it could have been much worse. It could have been better. Again, a little bit of like better editing, maybe, whatever. But Quicksilver, done. And I do want to give the cover a shout out, because I think that this is one gorgeous cover. Cover designed by Kelly Hart. Oh. Okay, well, special shout out to the author then. All right, next, I know exactly what are the two books that I am picking up. The first one that I am just super excited about, and mostly because of the cover and because it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and you guys know that I am a sucker for the story of Beauty and the Beast, and that is Entreat Me by Grace Draven. This is a standalone book, and just like I said, this is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast style of retelling, and I don't know, like I expect a lot from this book because it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I don't know if I'm going to love it or not, because Grace Draven is the author of that other romantasy series, Radiance, yeah, that I DNF'd. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but I will give it a try and then we'll see. Honestly, even if I don't like this book, maybe I'll keep this book, because look at that cover. Just look at that cover and tell me that this book is not gorgy. I hope I will love it. And then also next, what we are going to read is Viciously Yours, and I do not know this author, Jamie Applegate Hunter. I never read anything by her, and it says that this is Fey Kings of Aden. This is book 1. Now this has a fated mate trope. I think that the entire book is built on this trope, and it's a trope that I like, and that is the reason why I selected this book. And it's also like kind of short, so we'll see how this goes. Also, can we just like again look at that cover? I mean, how gorgy is that cover? When I finished these two books, guys, I will pop back in and I will let you know what I thought of them. Alright guys, we have a slight change in plans because I have not started Entreat Me or Viciously Yours, but I started and finished, I should say DNF'd, another book, A Dawn of Onyx. And I don't know exactly where this book is because I have the physical copy, but I already unhauled it and it's like somewhere with my unhauled books, but it doesn't really matter because I actually listened to the audiobook when it comes to this book. It came through in Libby. I got on the waiting list, and I think I was supposed to wait like 20 weeks or something like that, and then it just suddenly came through, and I decided to, you know what, just listen to this book because I'm in the mood to listen to audiobooks, and then I will finish those other two books. at another time, and oh my god, was it a bad decision. Oh my god, was it a bad decision. Well, this book is not good, and it has nothing to do with the audiobook. Nothing to do with the audiobook. This book is actually trash. All right. Now, again, I feel like that I'm a little bit harsh with this book. I love the beginning. You know what? Like the first, like, I don't know, like maybe 25-30% of the book was great. And then it all went south. And I ended up DNFing at around the 60% mark. I read a little bit more than 50% of this book. And you know what? I was really trying to convince myself to finish this book, but I just need to be, again, very ruthless in today's video, in a sense that I don't want to start a series, because you guys know me, I'm a completionist. I don't want to start a series unless I want to finish that series. And I can push myself through the first book, but I definitely don't see myself reading the entire series, because I'm just really not interested. So I was like, you know what, let's just give it up. I will probably put the book in a little free library, and then somebody else can be happy with it, because I know that it is a very TikTok / Instagram famous book. So somebody will be very happy to find it in a little free library. Right, now I just want to give you guys a very quick plot summary before I tell you what I didn't like about this book. But even just like summarizing this book is kind of chore, because I don't really know, I don't really remember. So we have our main female character, Arwen. Yes, that is her name. And she is a healer. She's like a magical healer. She has some kind of like magical healing abilities. She's able to mend people specifically, and her home kingdom is at war with another kingdom that I just call the Onyx people. And these Onyx people, this Onyx kingdom has a king, the Onyx king, surprisingly. And he's like a vicious and cold-hearted ruler, and he started this war, and he slowly but surely destroys all the other kingdoms in the realm. We do have a map in this book, but I don't remember anything. I couldn't tell you how the map looks like, but like we had this like northern Onyx kingdom that everybody hated because they started a war. And we are going to come back to this, don't you worry. But first, nothing in this book made sense to me. The world, the plot, though there is none, but most importantly the characters and the like relationship / chemistry between the two characters, because it is a romantasy book, right? So it is important, arguably. And I didn't like anything. Nothing. I don't understand the world. I don't understand the plot. There is none. The characters were incredibly annoying to me. The primary characters, the secondary characters, I didn't like any of them. And the primary characters, like the main female and male characters, I couldn't stand any of them. So, yeah. Both of the main characters were actually incredibly immature and dumb. But I was mostly upset with the main female character. She was a very typical, like, cookie cutter romantasy female main character. Very rebellious and very smart, but then also just really weak and dumb at the same time. And you know, I'm like super resilient and I don't trust anybody, but then literally the end of the same page, just let me tell you my entire life story. I met you 1 second ago, literally the previous page, but can I tell you my entire life story? But then I don't trust you. I cannot trust anybody. I'm in danger. And I find her a little bit irritating, I'm not gonna lie. And when it comes to the male character, he was just as irritating. Now don't get me wrong, immature and dumb, just like I said, but with him it was a little bit different because he was just so incredibly dumb, like so incredibly dumb that it was funny. And I found myself just laughing a little bit every time when our male character had a little bit of a screen time or paper time, book time. I just love that he is the king of this kingdom, and he is in a major war that basically destroys everything, but he has absolutely no military skills. Absolutely no military or leadership skills as it is. And we are in the middle of this, again, all-consuming war, and nobody knows what this war is about. Nobody knows what they are fighting for, and that's actually true for the Onyx people as well. People, even in the inner circle of the king, they have absolutely no idea what this war is about and what it is exactly that they are fighting for. I am ready to move on. I gave this book a chance. It doesn't work. I'm not gonna commit myself to the series. Just like I said, DNF, and now I am continuing it with Entreat Me and Viciously Yours, and I am hoping that I will have bigger success with those two. I am listening to Viciously Yours, and because I have the audiobook, I was not prepared for this. I was not prepared for this spice level, because let me tell you that this book is spicy. It's like sizzling hot. It's like 10 chili peppers, whatever, however you measure your spice on this little spice meter, whatever. I want to say that this is easily one of the spiciest. It is the spiciest romantasy book that I've ever read in my life. So, like, and I'm not even halfway through, so I know that probably there is more coming, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but he sent her what? Like, if you read this book, like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, he sent her what? What now? Three whats? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this could be a little bit too much for me. You guys know that I don't shy away from smut or spice, but maybe this is the book that will actually make break my brain. Well, just like I said, I listened to the audiobook, and I just make sure that when I listen to the book, it's like not on my phone. I mean, it's on my phone, but I have my earbuds in my ear, because there is absolutely no way that somebody in my life can hear what I am listening to, like my neighbors, for example, accidentally, just like, you know, listening to what I listen to, because they will never look at me the same, okay? Nobody can know that I'm listening to this book. This is like, wow. Guys, it was time for me to finally sit down and film this little update, because I have so much updating to do. This is very early in the morning. I am getting ready because in about 2 hours we are going to Maine, but a little bit later about that trip. I first want to talk to you about the books, because I finished Entreat Me, I finished Viciously Yours, and I also started House of the Beast, and this is probably the book, well, not probably, this is the book that I am taking to Maine with me, but again, a little bit about that later. First, I want to talk about these two books, Entreat Me. Let's start with Entreat Me, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's not the best Beauty and the Beast retelling that I ever read in my life, but I want to say it was quite decent, but incredibly spicy. Incredibly spicy. These two books, Viciously Yours and Entreat Me, are easily the spiciest romantasy books. And I want to say in general, the spiciest books that I ever read in my life. And there were so many chapters and scenes that actually made me feel uncomfortable. And I don't shy away from these sexy scenes. Okay, I need to add that, because I know that some people are super sensitive. I am not, but these books, especially Viciously Yours, they made me blush, okay? But anyways, Entreat Me. Entreat Me starts out with our male protagonist, Ballard of Catactor. It's a castle and a land that belongs to him, because he's a lord, and he's late wife curses him and their son upon the birth of their son. And later in the book we find out why. And because of this curse, the whole land just basically falls apart, and he himself slowly loses his humanity, and there is this weird kind of madness that takes complete control over him every now and then, and like slowly he is becoming a beast basically. That's the curse, and this curse also affected their son, and they are quite desperate actually to break this curse. And the son one day comes home with a beautiful woman, and they're like, okay, we think that the curse is about to be broken. And Leuven, who is this young or younger girl's younger sister's sister, she is on the older side, and I genuinely like to read about older characters, and I really liked her character. She's so smart, and you know, it's like nobody's going to fool me. She decides to follow the couple because it was kind of like an elopement. I mean, not really, because they are not like a married couple. It was more like on the side of like kidnapping. Oh, that's also an exaggeration. Anyways, she decides to follow her sister to this cursed castle, and basically that's when our story begins. And the couple who is on the cover, that's actually Leuven and Ballard, and it's basically their story. It's not necessarily about that young couple. And I enjoyed this book. Again, it is not the best Beauty and the Beast retelling. It was definitely interesting to me, and I enjoyed it, and I loved the ending, and maybe I will read other books by Grace Draven, but again, it was just a little bit too much for me. Now, after finishing the Grace Draven book, I was like, I need something shorter, I need something lighter, and that is why I picked up Viciously Yours, because it's not a long book, and also it's kind of like, it starts out with a childhood love story, at least like, you know, when you read the synopsis. And I need to point it out that I didn't read the entire synopsis. That was the problem, because it is also full with trigger warnings. Anyways, I thought that it was gonna be like just a very light and super cute, like, you know, childhood friends to lovers kind of fae love story. Oh my god, I was wrong. I was so wrong. This book, it does indeed starts out with the characters being teenagers, because our main male character, who is a fae, his name is Renok, and he is 13 years old when he gets basically the name of his mate, because that is how it works in this Fae kingdom, Fae realm, and that is Amelia. And Amelia is a human, and there is a veil between the Fae kingdom and the human kingdom, and because of that, he cannot see her, he cannot go and get her, and because of that he's like super heartbroken. It's so cute, and he starts writing letters to Amelia, who is actually an orphan, and she goes to an orphanage and to school, and he's like, I'm gonna write you letters so you don't feel alone, and also I'm super heartbroken, and I hope that you get these letters, and I hope that you like these letters, blah 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 blah. And that's how the book starts out, and actually the letters are super cute, and as the characters are aging, the letters are getting very, very, very different in tone, let me tell you. And in general, this book gets super, super, super spicy, insanely spicy. And our main male character, he is, I was gonna say he's morally gray. That's not true. He is morally black, okay? Like, he does a lot of very questionable things. And this book is like very short, but the amount of spicy scene, if you remove the amount of spicy scene, I don't know, maybe you remove like 50% of the book. And I think that one of my biggest criticism is that I feel like that this book was written just for the spicy scene, and then the scenes, and then the author tried to like craft a story around the spicy scenes, because when it comes to the world building and just understanding their relationships and the characters, because later on we get to know a lot about Emilia, and I was able to predict what the hell was going to happen. That is just like so predictable and so nothing. I don't know if I would recommend this book to you guys. It's again an absolutely gorgeous cover, but if you are like somebody who shies away from incredibly spicy scenes, I don't know how to say this, like not necessarily conventional sexy time, if you know what I mean, then maybe it's not for you. I don't know. Honestly, I am so conflicted, because I don't think that I would recommend this book, and I don't think that I will continue the series, because I have absolutely no connections to the main characters, to the side characters, or to the world. I don't really care for what's going to happen with the other side characters. But maybe one day when I like crave something super spicy, then I will pick up the other books in the series. But it's just like romantasy corn, and it's just not something that I necessarily need in my life. But the book that I absolutely adore, that is House of the Beast. And again, this is just the ARC, because I only have the ARC, and I am so pleasantly surprised by this book. I started this book yesterday, and I read 150 pages yesterday, you guys, or was it 130? Anyways, either way, because it's chapter 12, 140. That much of the book I read yesterday, because I was so incredibly obsessed with it. I love it, and once I finish this book, I will pop back in, obviously, and I tell you everything that I know about it. We also start out with the characters being in their like early years, so again, maybe like childhood friends to lovers. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I am fully immersed in this story, and this is the book that I am taking with me to Maine, because we are going to Maine, coastal Maine, the south part, York and Oconoquet and Kennebunkport, or Kennebunkport, maybe you don't know. And I am looking forward to it. It's just a weekend trip, but this is all the time that I get off during the summer. And what the hell is going on? Like literally, this is not even 6 a.m. and everybody is going crazy outside. This is how you know I film my videos in Boston. Oh, I need to wake up. I need a coffee. Anyways, so this is all the time that I can take off during the summer, and I am like really tired, but I'm really looking forward to it. It will be a long drive, like up there it's like 3 hours, and then on our way home again is the same. So I feel like that I will be able to finish House of the Beast, because I'm like so excited about that book. Like this video, I don't think that it's like the biggest success. Like the books that I read, I am not really connected to them. I am not like super interested in them. This is the first one that I actually really enjoy, so I have high expectations. I will film some b-roll while I am in Maine for you guys, because it's beautiful. Coastal Maine is beautiful. I don't know why I'm saying that. I've never been to coastal Maine. This will be my first time, but whatever. New England is beautiful, so I expect Maine to be beautiful. Anyways, can you guys tell how incredibly tired I am? I'm just like blurting out nonsense in my mouth. So I'm just gonna go get ready, get everything ready, then we hit the road, spend some time in Maine, and then once I'm back in Boston and once I finished the book, I will tell you everything and all my thoughts again about House of the Beast.
You hurt me, you did, several times.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I am almost cold. It is so incredibly windy here. Understandable, I didn't bring a jacket because I'm an idiot, so it's cold. But it is beautiful. The lighthouse is there. You can see it's so pretty, but the sun is coming up, so you can barely see anything of the lighthouse, but it's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous day.
if you're here or you're out there.
Guys, this is so beautiful. This should be a postcard. Now, this is a typical New England coastal town. When you go to the coast in any New England state, this is exactly what you're gonna get. The beautiful rocky shore is the beach. Down there we have these houses, beach houses that are hotels, obviously. And then if you go look into this direction, you can see a lot of people sailing. I don't know if you can actually spot them. They are there on the horizon. And then if you look in this direction, there is the beautiful lighthouse. And again, this is exactly what you're gonna get in New England in the summer when you visit any of the coastal towns. I mean, I love it. I cannot get bored of it. I just cannot get bored of it.
That's why I'm better with than without you. Oh, I'm on it, I want it, but why do you seem to call in your eyes? I can't tell if you're here or you're out there. Do you wanna be out there? You don't need to be Prince Charming to me. I just need this to be real. I don't need no fairy tale. You don't need a killer dragon for me. Ooh, I don't need no fairy tale.
Guys, as probably you can tell by the background, I am back in Boston and I have so much to tell you because one, I finished this book and I need to review this book. I also want to show you what I got at that little bookstore. Lupine Books or Lupine Books? I don't know, in Kennebunkport, and also the trip. Oh, you guys. Coastal Maine is just out of this world. There is just something about coastal New England in general in the summer. You guys know that I love living in New England and I'm a sucker for New England regardless of the season because we have all 4 seasons and I love them all. But in the summer, coastal New England just really speaks to me. The rocky shores, the water, the boats on the water, the waves, the lighthouses, it's just out of this world. You have to visit New England in the summer. It's a completely different vibe. I want to go back to Maine. This was my first trip, but definitely not the last. And I hope that the little b-roll that I filmed, it will be able to do a little bit of justice to what I saw there because it was, again, out of this world and I already want to go back. Now, before we talk about the book, let me just quickly show you what I got at the bookstore in Kennebunkport, which was like not the biggest bookstore as probably you guys saw based on what I filmed, and it was mostly just about, like, you know, beach reads, a lot of contemporary romance books, a lot of different very famous, like BookTok famous romantasy books, and a lot of different thrillers and a lot of children's books, which of course understandable. And I didn't really find anything that I really wanted. They did have My Friends by Frederick Beckman, which is a new release that I really want to read, but I don't want to get it in hardback and it was so expensive. But I really wanted to support the bookstore, so I decided to get a coloring book. The lady in the bookstore, she was actually so nice. She allowed me to open it up and to actually look at the pages just to try to figure it out, like, you know, how the coloring book itself looks. Though I really like this picture that's on the back and also on the front, and I like it. And once I color it, I feel like I will be able to customize it because I can write whatever I want to write on the spines of the books. But even just the pictures inside are so beautiful, and the plan is to color, paint, whatever, the pictures, and then just take them out and then put it on my bookshelf or around the house as like decorations, and I feel like that they have some really nice pictures. They have almost all of the Jane Austen classics. So let us just find Pride and Prejudice, because I'm telling you guys that will be, oh, that's also a really nice one, because I'm telling you guys that will be the first one that I am coloring. Where is Pride and Prejudice? I found Persuasion, I found where is Pride and Prejudice? Oh, also this one, oh, really nice. Oh, I really like these ones. Oh, Pride and Prejudice, there you are. They have so many beautiful pictures. Ah, they have a little free library in there. I didn't even see it in the shop. Oh my God, I'm just gonna love it. Oh my God, I will love coloring. Oh, I will just love coloring this book. I can already tell. I hope that it will just help a little bit with my stress and with my anxiety that I've been experiencing in the past couple of months. And that's the reason, honestly, why I bought it. It was really expensive. It was $22 plus taxes or whatever. So, you know, not cheap, but it's really, really nice quality. And I already have the pencils and such from last year. So this is gonna be my little artsy project that I will be working on in the fall. And I really like it, but I didn't get any books. I didn't find anything. I didn't need anything. I didn't want anything. So this is what I decided to get. It was actually such a huge nerd moment for me to go to this bookstore, because my friends decided to have lunch and everybody wanted to try the lobster bisque or whatever. There is a very famous restaurant there in Kennebunkport, and everybody was all over the lobster bisque, and I don't care for it. And I decided to just eat my pre-packed sandwich and fruit cup and spend my lunch money on books. That's why I went to the bookstore alone, just to check it out. And if that's not a nerd moment, then I don't know what is. But now let's just talk about the book House of the Beast by Michelle Wong. And you guys, first when my neighbor gave me this art, I didn't know that Michelle Wong is a very famous illustrator, because she illustrates this, again, super famous graphic novel, The Legend of Korra. I never heard of it. Oopsie. You guys know that I don't really read graphic novels, but if you do, and if you've read Legend of Korra, please definitely let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it. And first, the number one thing that I have to say about this book, that it's not a romantasy, it's not a fantasy romance. And I don't know what made me think that it is. Maybe it is because of the cover, and if you look at this book in a bookstore, it's got those like beautiful romantic sprayed edges, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a romantasy. And even just like a little bit based on the synopsis, I was like, yeah, this is a romantasy. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's the number one thing. And also, this book is not adult. It is advertised as adult. I double checked it. I triple checked it, because I don't really pick up YA anymore. There's nothing wrong with YA books. I just don't really enjoy them anymore. And this book is very, very, very YA. The way the characters behave, think, and the kind of relationships that they have with each other, it's definitely super YA. And in the second half of the book, I feel like that it really comes out, and that was just not super enjoyable for me. However, the cover, that cover is absolutely top notch. And overall, I would say that in this vlog, my favorite was definitely Blood and Steel, but I believe that this book comes second. And now let's just talk about the content of the book. So this book starts out with huge trigger warning, by the way, and this is something that happens in chapter 1. Also beautiful illustrations throughout the book, and again, it's not surprising because the author is an illustrator of a graphic novel. I just want to point it out, and I want to show you guys a couple of really nice pictures. So pretty, so cute. Also, because of the illustrations, it felt a little bit more like childish is not the correct word to use, but it felt a little bit on the younger side. That's what I'm trying to say. But back to the book, back to the content. So this book starts out in the first chapter, again with a huge trigger warning, because our main character, Alma, she loses her hand. Basically, it's her father who chops off her hand, or arm, I should say, not just hand, but her arm, almost her entire arm, as a kind of sacrifice to the so-called dread beast who is a god in this world. And that's how the book starts. And then we very quickly learn a little bit more about Alma, because Alma, she was born out of wedlock, and she lived with her mother, a mother who adored her and did everything for her daughter, but they kind of like lived in poverty in this little village, and everybody shamed them because she was a woman who was not married and her daughter was born out of wedlock. And because of that, they suffered a lot. And Alma specifically, because she wasn't able to make any friends, because, you know, kids can be cruel, and kids were very cruel to her, and nobody basically wanted to be friends with her. And then she's still very young when her mother falls gravely ill, and she would do anything to save her mother. So she decides to write a letter to her father. And her father comes and he picks her up and basically makes kind of like a deal with Alma. The Alma must go with him and become the part of House Avera, where he is from, and he will do everything he can to get the best doctors and to get the best healers for Alma's mother. But unfortunately, Alma's mother still passes away, and obviously that completely breaks Alma, and she comes up with kind of like a revenge plot, and she decides to punish her aristocratic family. And her family, the members of her family, and especially her father, he is the vessel to the beast, who is one of the gods in this world, and her house, her family specifically serves this beast. And that's how, like, you know, her arm and everybody's arm in the family, one of the arms, gets sacrificed to the beast. And basically that's how our story begins. Obviously, it is more complicated than that. And as the story progresses, we get to know a lot about her family and all the different characters. And we have actually very exciting side characters in the book, which is something that I love. And I was so immersed in this book and in this story for like the first half, or maybe I should say for the first third of the book. And then something just happened. I felt that kind of like midway this book got really boring, and I was like, can we just like skip these chapters? Can we skip this part of the story? I am bored, I'm really not enjoying it. And unfortunately that kind of like kept up for the second half of the book. I was just ready for the entire story to finally come to a conclusion. So I would say that maybe this book was like, I don't know, 50 pages too long. And again, because especially in the second half of the book, it becomes so clear that this is a YA book, I just kind of lost a little bit of enjoyment. I felt like we had so much potential in this book, especially when it comes to this relationship that is actually featured on the cover, which in my opinion started out as a really, really, really interesting relationship. And then I kind of feel like that this whole villain story, because ultimately it's a villain story, is just like didn't really deliver to me. This all being said, I actually really like the ending, and I am 99% sure that there is a second book coming in the series. And honestly, I think I will pick it up. But when I pick that book up, at least I'll know that one, it's not a romantasy, fantasy romance, whatever you want to call it, and two, it is YA, and that's how I will go into the book. But honestly, ultimately, I account it as a success, and I would recommend, just again, know that the story and the characters will be just a little bit on the younger side. And now I feel like that it is time for us to finish up this vlog. Now this is it, guys. This is the end of the vlog. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here with me, hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I have a lot of fun bookish fall videos coming up because yes, next week it is officially fall and we are kicking off with my fall content. And in the meantime, if you want to check out any of my other videos, I will leave them on the screen, probably here and here. And I'll see you soon in an upcoming video. Bye!